Hello and good morning. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And listen, folks, we have an outstanding show for you today. Some unfortunate happenings in Xbox that a lot of diehard players and platform supporters are disappointed with. Some people like Tim Dog have been very pointed, not specifically naming names, but kind of throwing it out there of how he's disappointed with the way some of these things are going down. What I'm going to do, folks, is I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to scream because I understand at the end of the day, it's a business. They got to make their money. But I think where the frustration comes in is the fact that they literally just announced that they are a $3 trillion company. I think what makes the conversation that we're going to have a bit worse is the fact that they laid off 1,900 people. And again, like I was just saying in the green room to the guys moments ago, I should say, I understand some of the layoffs because of the overlap and some of the redundancy. And again, I'm not saying it's right, folks. Anyone that loses their job, I feel incredibly sorry for because the world kind of sucks right now, and it's a scary thing out there not to have a fucking paycheck. Pardon my French. That's the one F word. That not coming in to support your family. And I'm sorry I get emotional like that because I'm a real person. I understand those fears and I may not show them here for you on the camera, but there was some times after I retired that you got to wait for your pension to kind of settle in. You got to wait for everything to kind of hit the. It's sometimes it's frightening. Let's just say that. And anyone that was affected, I'm incredibly sorry for. But I want to do a thought experiment, and it's not going to be a long spiel. It's just going to kind of throw it out there. I'm going to read all of the information that have come out from Tom Warren of The Verge. He literally just tweeted an hour ago that the data mined information that was running rampant yesterday, people weren't sure. People said it was fake, then it was real, then it was fake again. He had literally just confirmed an hour ago that it is 1,000% real. We'll get into it, what that means in a hot second. I do want to spend a few seconds kind of just talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, what you see on your screen. Now, obviously, it's officially out today. Some of the reviews have been just nothing short of egregious. I have been asked probably over a dozen times in DMs, Boom, I see your gameplay. You're out there, you're putting posts. It looks great. You're having fun. Should I buy it? So this is my thing. The last thing that I personally want to do is say, hey, gamer A, you should go out and spend your $100 on the deluxe edition right now because I said so. And then you get the game home and you're like, boom, you are an asshole. This game sucks. And I would be really bothered by that. Not because you called me an a-hole. No, that's fine. I could take that. It's the fact that I told you to go spend your money and you wasted your money and you didn't find the product worth any of it. And I don't want to kind of have that on my conscience because that stuff bothers me because some people will see your game plan and they buy it on what they see you playing. What I want to say in regards to the Justice League is this. The game is quality through and through. The minute you press the start button, this game punches you in the face with great writing, great graphics, an incredible story that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and more bombastic. If you are someone that likes Destiny or The Division or any looter shooter, even Borderlands, you are going to like this game. This is a looter shooter game, but this is a game also that has one of the best stories, I think personally, I've seen Rocksteady tell. I'm 25 hours in. I still have gear slots that I haven't unlocked because I'm doing side quests. Some things have happened that you probably could have missed in side quests that I was like, holy shit, I can't believe that just happened. Some story stuff that is crazy. It FYI, and no spoiler here, this actually takes place in the Arkham universe because the people that died in the 3 games are dead. Joker is dead. He's not coming back. Everything that happened in the Arkham series is effectively what you hear if you go looking for it. Now, some stuff is in your face, some stuff is you have to go and you have to look for it. If you are an Easter egg hunter like me who loves DC and loves Rocksteady and really enjoyed Arkham, you're going to go looking. I want to tell you this right now. It is not an Arkham game. It is a multiplayer game that gives you the ability, which I'm playing single player, not played once. You can play with all 4 characters. You can switch at will. You can build your gear. You can make gear. You can find gear by doing side quests and just doing stuff around. The traversal is absolutely amazing. I'm not going to give you a score, but you can hear obviously by just how I'm talking that it is absolutely worth every penny that I spent. I don't know what else to say. Look at the gameplay, check it out. It's phenomenal. And I will say, anyone that says that the enemies and the side quests and some of the missions are repetitive, I'm gonna say go play Spider-Man 2 because that game was revered by everyone, and Spider-Man 2 has you doing monotonous tasks. You're going to a burning building and you're putting out fires. You're trying to stop a tanker from exploding. Your 2 civilians are getting jumped underneath the train station in a fenced area, and you're fighting the same bad guys. It's literally the same thing, except this one is a looter shooter, and Spider-Man is just a very steadfast single player story driven narrative. And this story here is phenomenal. Like I said, the writing is so good, it's bonkers. So again, thank you so much for listening to my rant. I hope that I helped you decide on your money spent. Again, look at the gameplay. I'm not going to be doing any streaming because honestly, folks, I don't have the bandwidth. I just don't have the time in my life to do it. Otherwise, I'd stream this game. I would say go look at Steel Rain. Steel Rain is streaming this game, and you'll be able to watch him play. Again, go check out PM and the PM from last night. Pong and Mav did an amazing show. They had a whole topic based on this, and they broke it down, I think, as good as I did, maybe even better. But I think it's a fine game, even more so. It's such a great surprise for 2024, which already has been so good. Again, just do what educated consumers do. Do your homework before you buy, but I think it's worth every penny. That's just me. But sorry for that, folks. Let's welcome in the panel here. Now, I did send the link to Hargeet Chani because he might be a little unhinged with one of the topics. Like I said, I'm going to do a thought experiment that I think I'm going to handle this in a proper manner. I've already told the panel, if you want to yell at the top of your lungs over this stuff, you go ahead. It's fine. But we got to welcome in someone who's normally not here. Unfortunately, he's been busy. He's missed the last couple of shows on Monday. Crazy Lou Gaming. Good morning, kind sir. How you feeling?
Man, good morning, Mr. BoomStick. Happy to join you, especially on such an upsetting, crazy topic. I mean, you said we can yell up our lungs. So that means I can go ahead and yell, and I can sing, I can do all that stuff on here. If you give me
you can go crazy, brother. We'll do a hashtag adult topic, and as long as it's not too terrible, we will allow it. I mean, listen, again, there's a lot to get into here. Again, I understand from a business aspect that they want to make money. I just think that at this point, at least in my opinion, it's greed. It's greed. But I'm going to break down why I think that is. And again, the thought experiment is kind of, I think it's really going to be pointed where you kind of understand where I'm coming from. But Web Dave, good morning, kind sir. I think we're hanging out this Sunday. It sounds like it's going to be a good show.
It is going to be a great show. I had to unmute myself. Yeah, no, man, I'm looking forward. But today's show, this is going to be absolute fire. What an amazing panel we have today. And welcome, Hargeet. He just jumped on. So
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
It's going to be balls to the wall. And let's get into these topics, man. I'm ready.
Okay, so you know what? Real quick, Hargeet's got 20 minutes before he jumps into a meeting. So look, I'll get to everyone's introductions. I want to bring him right in. Listen, Hargeet, here's the thing. There are some people in the chat, and speaking of the chat, I want to say that I have seen quite a few new names. I say welcome. I tried to welcome in everybody. It's something that I do normally. It's something I enjoy doing. I love welcoming in you, like actually writing to you, as you'll see. And as you'll see through the show, I'm typing because I'm typing and doing work. I'm literally typing and saying, "Hey, welcome." Please consider subscribing to the show. I do this 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. All great panels, all great content. We don't sell hate. We don't hate hunger to get you in. We talk about things reasonably, and hopefully you enjoy the banter today. You consider subscribing to the channel because Mrs. Boom and I are on the hunt for 15K, and it would be pretty dope to get that W this early in the year. But Hargeet, look. I'm going to pull up the tweets, and there was a lot of them yesterday. There really is a lot to get into here. Yesterday, the talk of the town was HiFi Rush was data mined. And this original tweet comes the way of Tom Warren of The Verge. And he said in a story that he wrote, why Microsoft might be considering Xbox exclusives on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. He goes on to say in the subcategory, rumors are heating up about Xbox games coming to rival platforms, and there's no smoke without fire. And then he linked that particular story to his next tweet from yesterday. This was, let's say how many hours ago it was. It does not. Okay, so it was a tweet from yesterday because I pulled it last night. And he says this simply: I can confirm that HiFi Rush data mine is legit, and these t-shirt textures files are in the game. It looks like HiFi Rush is coming to PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch. Now, I think that Tom Warren has earned his position in journalism in this community as someone that when he talks, I think that we could in fact listen with a confident ear. Now you don't have to believe it, and I'm not telling you to. I'm saying that I believe it. And what he has on the screen here from the data mine is a blue logo. It would be a blue t-shirt, and it says "I'm here, baby." Then there's a red one that says "Rock Out Anywhere," which I would imagine equates to the Switch being handheld and you can play anywhere. And of course, a green one that says "Shadow Dropped." Okay, great. So Tom Warren, who of course is the main contributor to this, posted an hour ago. Let me find it. Okay, so this is the tweet from an hour ago, folks. And he says this with the all of the Chai character models wearing these t-shirts. And he says, if you're still wondering, Hargeet, whether HiFi Rush is coming to PS5 and Nintendo Switch, Bethesda has other t-shirts in the game that are platform exclusive to Xbox, to Steam, and to Epic. And he finally says this: gee, I wonder why there's unannounced red and blue ones. So here's my thought experiment, Hargeet. Now, obviously, chat, please get involved. Why I don't like the idea isn't because I'm trying to be some sort of walled garden warden, right? Like, I'm not trying to tell gamers not to have fun and enjoy this amazing IP. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not wrapping the world in a green blanket and saying you can only play on Xbox. F you if you don't. It's not that at all. The thought experiment that I want to do, Hargeet, and of course the rest of the panel, is this. When you say Nintendo, the amount of characters and IPs that rushed to the front of your brain pan gets bunched up here, right? You can think of Mario, Donkey Kong, Smash Brothers, F-Zero, Metroid, Zelda. I mean, just it's a lot, right? It's anything and everything, because Nintendo keeps their IPs close to the vest because they are valuable and they're respected. Okay? When you think of PlayStation, Hargeet, the same thing for me as a PlayStation fan happens. You're thinking Nathan Drake, Aloy, Last of Us, God of War, Kratos, his son. You're thinking about Resistance, Fall of Man, Motorstorm, Twisted Metal. Siphon Filter. It's just, it gets again bunched up here, right in the front. You're like, wow, look at all of that. You see, now this is where the thought experiment comes into play. When I say Xbox, now I'm a diehard Xbox fan. Like, that's my brand. That's number one. Like, cut me, it's green like an alien. But for the average player who has no real, connection to the green brand that we diehard Xbox fans have, it's always been known as Gears, Forza, and Halo, right? What else do people equate the brand to? Now, if some people that might have had a 360 will say Fable, right? Some people might say Cameo and take it all the way back. Some people will say, whatever older brand it is, but you have to kind of stop and think. So where I come at this from, I think, a reasonable point of view is Chai and the Hi-Fi Rush universe that has been presented to us by Tango Gameworks is unusual, and it's special. And it's something that Xbox does not have solely on their own, but now that they do, right? Tango Gameworks is a Japanese studio, something that they really need. This particular game has so much chance, or has such a big chance to succeed in cross media migration. I can see this as an anime. I can see this as a Netflix series. I can see this having toys. I can see it having a graphic novel. A sequel is without a doubt. But this is the kind of IP, Hargeet, and I think you will agree here, that I think Microsoft needs to hold here. Yes, it's available on Epic. I get that. Yes, it's available on PC, the biggest market in gaming. I don't necessarily think that there's going to be such an incredible sale on this game on Switch. Now maybe Switch will sell good, because this is definitely has Switch written all over it. But it doesn't mean it has to go to Switch. I think that PlayStation players, at least the diehards, are going to hate not buy this game just because it's an Xbox exclusive game and now it's come to their platform. Listen, I've rambled on enough. I think I've made my point. Hargeet, what are your thoughts on this confirmation from Tom Warren? Do you believe what he's saying?
So, I mean, look, the stuff being there is there, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that it is confirmation that it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. However, the differences here are like, on PC, it's still in Game Pass. On Xbox, it's still in Game Pass. So if you're on Nintendo or PlayStation, it's not in Game Pass. Therefore, it's money that you have to, spend to buy the game. I'm not sure this is such a great thing. To me, this is a bad idea, since it's the first new IP they had in the generation. And it's the first good, big Japanese thing they have, right? So in a while, right? Did they really have anything before this, since like the Lost Odyssey and
I was literally going to say Blue Dragon, and the last Lost Odyssey was probably the last ones. There was a couple of like RPGs after that, but they weren't as important as this.
Yeah, and I mean, we had that, the what was that, the dragon. It was the game,
like the Panzer Dragoon.
No. It was the one that got canceled. Scalebound.
Yes.
That got canceled. Right, that was gonna be the next one, but yeah, that didn't happen. So this is kind of an odd one where you say, like, why does this need to come over? Like, there was the potential for on a case by case basis. But the case by case was when there was legacy on that platform. There's no legacy of this is brand new IP, so there's no real good reason to do this. The problem is if this is true, then the other one is true as well, which would be Sea of Thieves, which just opens up the door for everything. So at that point, you might as well just say you're third party. It's just a question of maybe it's timed third party, so you have to wait a year. Who's going to care, right? If you're a player in Europe and you bought a PlayStation, you say, I'll just wait a year. Like you're never going to buy an Xbox at that point. So you might as well just kill the box. At that point, the main problem isn't just that Xbox console sales will dip. Game Pass will be the problem. Will it actually be able to sustain itself? The answer is no, it won't. So it's a gamble that Microsoft has to make to say, do we care about Game Pass? Yes or no? If we don't, fair enough, then this is the end of that. Or if you do, you really have to be careful what you're doing here, right? This is not a great idea, right? It would make sense if it was Elder Scrolls 6. I would get that one. I don't get this one. I just don't, right? You're sustaining yourself on Game Pass. So either that's absolute bullshit, and what you've been saying, Phil, is a lie that you can't sustain yourself with Game Pass, or you can. Which one is it, right? So be clear about what you're saying. Are you saying that you cannot sustain yourself with Game Pass? If that's the case, then I guess Game Pass is going to die, right? We should just assume that that's going to go away. Is that the case? You got to be clear about what your messaging is, right? And this is always the problem with them. We're discussing things that have not been confirmed. Why? Because there's always something. It just always is. I don't have any question about the next freaking PlayStation game coming to Xbox. I just don't. Right? The only one that's going to come there is MLB. Why? MLB forced their hand. Okay. Which, by the way, was absent from their state of play. I don't know why, but I guess maybe they
also still not still not in PlayStation Plus, but in Game Pass, which is again
it is coming to Game Pass. Okay. But yeah, I don't know if they do any marketing for that anymore because I don't know what reason they have. I don't know something's going on with that, but. Outside of that, and the next Zelda, I'm not going to question. Is that going to come to Xbox? Or is it going to come to PlayStation? It's going to be Nintendo. That's just it, right? I don't know what's going to happen with Xbox. I don't know. Every game they announce will always have this question.
Well, I think what happens here, and you alluded to it, and I kind of want to just put a pin on it. What this ultimately does is moving forward, every game that is released, regardless of whether or not it's great, whether it's got buzz, whether it is the greatest thing we've ever seen in our entire life as gamers, the question isn't going to be the question is not going to be how did they make this game? Who made this game? How did you think of this story? This is incredible. I've never played anything like this. The first question is going to be, is it coming to PlayStation? And that is a Pandora's box that once it's opened, they are not going to be able to close it, Hargeet.
Yeah, this is, and again, look, maybe at some point everybody does this, fair enough, but that is a very long term. If Xbox
it's also
is
not
doing
guaranteed either.
It's not, right? So we don't even know if this is going to happen. We still don't know.
Right. And again, I see, first of all, shout out to the chat, Hargeet, and I don't mean to cut you off. I see there's a lot of back and forth. Folks, we're not talking in absolutes. Yeah. All right. I see the comments. You have your opinion, hang out, grab a cup of coffee, grab a donut, chill. No one is talking in absolutes here. We're trying to have a conversation. The reason why we're having this conversation again is because it is big news. It is news it's news that's worthy of a conversation, Hargeet. I know you only have like 10 more minutes to go before you get to your meeting. I'll let you continue, but understand, folks, we're not trying to shove this down your throat. We're simply saying, hey, here is what Tom Warren, who is a veteran of gaming journalism, someone that I look up to and someone I get my news from. He's saying this. He's also, he's being a little bit more pointed than we are, but we have brought you the evidence. So I understand that, we're talking about this again. I totally understand that. It's not going to be the whole show. We have a whole other show to get into, but this is big news, folks, and it's worthy of our time. Hopefully you feel that way. after my spiel. Please continue, Hargeet.
Yeah. So look, it's not the end of the world if Xbox wants to be third party. They would just become a big publisher, right? But the difference is how many people have enthusiasm, for EA. They're a big publisher, right?
Right.
Does anybody sit there and have massive enthusiasm for that platform?
No, they just expect the game to come to their platform of choice that's what's going to happen. Yes.
And if Xbox is third party, fair enough, right? They might have a lot of games, but that the enthusiasm of the platform goes with it, right? And even Phil mentioned that, hey, the console matters. Well, it matters as long as you have something to bring people to that console. And the problem is, in this world, the console world that we live in, exclusives do unfortunately matter. And that's just the way it is, right? So until you can get to a point where they don't matter, which I don't know when that happens, it's a problem. And if every time, at this point, I'm going to have to assume, that's why I brought up the Direct, that every one of these games is going to go everywhere, right? So you just have to assume that now, right? Because if that's the case, then you just have to deal with it, right?
What's weird is that they spent the money and they made Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was going everywhere, and they were like, "No, this is too good. We want to keep this to ourselves."
Yep.
Right?
For how long?
Maybe
that's the deal, right?
We're
going to make it exclusive for 2 years, and then it's going to go everywhere. Okay.
Jago6 says, "This is what if, dude. You are absolutely right. It is. Again, please, folks, do not get yourself all bent out of shape. This is not an absolute. This is going to happen. This is a conversation that has once again wreaked its ugly head. And I think, Hargeet, why this is a problem is because the talking heads are remaining silent. Sarah Bond, who's the president of Xbox, should have gotten in the front of this shit.
Or Aaron.
The minute Aaron, somebody with power should have came in and said, "Listen, if it is what it is." Then it's just that you're gonna have a bunch of 10%ers or 15%ers bent out of shape, condemning Xbox for what they believe is the worst move in history, and 85% of people aren't going to give a flying shit. They're gonna be like, "Oh, great, I get to buy this game on my PlayStation."
Yep.
Where
or Nintendo for that matter.
Or Nintendo. Where am I on it? Michelle Alexandria, shout out to her, and this is the truth. Xbox is exclusive or is Game Pass. $16.99 a month gets you these games. Game Pass is not coming to PlayStation. It's not coming to Nintendo. You're going to have to buy these games at full boat. More money for Xbox. Congratulations. I kind of wonder, Hargeet, I know you got to go, if this is some sort of sacrificial lamb for the FTC shit going on.
I think
it could be, but you could also do this with a game that has some legacy on the other side, right? So I don't know why it needs to be specifically this, but and why Sea of Thieves then? Well, what does that have to do with anything, right? So if that turns out to be true, then why not Gears? What stops you from doing that? Right? There's really no good reason to not do that, right? It would just expand their user base, right? So ultimately, if it's, we want to do this to appease some regulatory body, they don't have to do that at all. They already won, right? They already won that battle. They already bought ABK. So that battle is there's just an ideological stupid war with the FTC's current head that whatever, she's going to be gone at the end of the year anyway. So I don't think that's a good reason to do this, right? Unless you're saying, hey, I want to go buy Take-Two, Ubisoft, Embracer and all. Okay, fine. Then you might as well just go third party. But I gave you that out, right? It's fine. If you want to do that, you have to have so much content on your console that comes to Game Pass. It eliminates the headache, and therefore people would just buy it just because you have all these games, you're marketing all these games, and everybody would associate those games with you, even though they're everywhere. Right. So fine. But I don't know what their plan is. So right now, I don't think this is such a great idea. At least this gen, they should just not do this. But it looks like it might just happen. But again, this is all conjecture. We don't know. We haven't seen anything official. It's all data leaks don't mean that it's actually happening, right? Because those things could have been there when the game was in development.
Yes.
Right. And the game was 100% in development for everything.
Yes.
Right. But then it was bought by Xbox, and Xbox said, no, we're going to put this on our ecosystem only. And so maybe they suppressed that stuff. It's still there in the background, but they just, didn't actually go forward with any of those plans. Again, we don't know, right? We're all in conjecture mode.
Yes.
But some of these folks with there's got to be something with this much smoke that there probably is a plan, right? And that's the thing, right? So they have probably heard something more recent that, hey, there is something going on here, and that's where it becomes more interesting. But again, it's all conjecture. It is what it is. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. Unfortunately, I do have to jump now.
Yeah, no, brother. Listen,
guys.
obviously, if you got time, jump in. We'll be talking about something else.
All right.
So thanks so
Thanks,
much, Hargy. Super appreciate it. Definitely appreciate you being here. Crazy Lou Gaming.
I had a question for Hardy, but it was going to be a spicy one.
Well, I mean, listen, real quick, I want to shout out Brett Bingham. He's probably in the chat. I talk with Brett almost every day in DMs. And he DM'd me this morning, the Tom Warren story. So shout out to him for consistently, him, Kaya Walker. There's so many people that, give me, like stuff. It's phenomenal that I use. Aces 352 is another one that consistently, I'm talking to in DMs. So what Brett said this morning to me is, I wonder how old these files are. And that's exactly what Hargeet just said before he had to bounce out of here is, are these, data mined files old? Microsoft changed their mind, like for instance, Sarah Bond might have been like, hey, guys, this is a special IP. This is a special IP. We got to keep it to PC and Xbox. Now, could that possibly happen? 1,000%. I actually hope that happens. And again, I'm not being a D-bag gatekeeper. I have all the consoles, all of the platforms. I play on freaking everything. I buy, like, for instance, I get it. A lot of people didn't like the state of play. I gave it a 7. It was good. It wasn't great, but half the games there that are console exclusive for PlayStation, I'm buying those games. I'm a gamer. I like playing games. Some games suck, and you know what? You just, you got to eat it sometimes. But I'm interested in some of the games. I'm going to buy them. Where do you kind of fall on this? Because again, I don't want to spend the entire show talking about this because I don't want to upset people. Obviously, I want you to come here and have a good time, but I still think this is a relevant conversation to have. I really do. And again, no one's going to be, you're not going to see me on, oh no, it's Alex, having a fit. Like, I'm just not. My exclusivity and my value is as Xbox because they have Game Pass where all of these games are going to be for my $17 a month. So I'm good. But I just think that this is a special IP that has a transmedia potential that could really do great for the brand. And if it's everywhere, it's never going to be equated with an Xbox. And that might be the problem. What do you got for us, Louis?
Oh man, this subject is hard to tackle down because no matter how I would say it or how I would pitch it, probably people might get mad or probably they get offended. But hey, we just gotta say how we gotta say it, how we see it, right? Are we happy that this might happen? I mean, no, we're not. We always wanted, to be the selfish type of person. Like, yes, we want this only on Xbox. We don't want it to be anywhere or everywhere. We just want it to be here. We want it to be right here, sitting with us the way it has to be. But here's what I've been seeing for like the last years of gaming and what's been going on, right? Because, for example, after 360, right, we see the Xbox One come out, and then they come out with a slogan saying, okay, let's play anywhere. Play your game anywhere. They started to move their games on PC, which, guys, this is truthful. PC is another platform. It's another gaming platform. We saw Xbox moving their games to PC, right? And then you see Game Pass coming out. Now we see Game Pass is on what? GeForce Now. We see it now that a lot of our games is on Steam too, which they have a partnership, but they are on Steam, right? They are on Steam. I mean, we have been seeing this whole thing moving around little by little. And not only Xbox, Sony has been doing the same thing. Sony has been moving their games elsewhere. And they said, we're going to move mobile now, which is another platform, just like Xbox has been saying it. And they have been moving it to PC. And look, MLB, the show, is on Game Pass. It's on Xbox. Why? Because MLB forced it. And here's something that people seem to forget. This is a game that Sony made. No matter how many times people say, oh, no, MLB moved it, right? Moved it to be over there. But this is a Sony game. Sony sat down, made this game, and hey, MLB just put it over there. But Sony is making that money. And listen up, guys. Sony even said in the GameSpot article that I read that it was a great move for them to put MLB the show on Xbox, on Game Pass. It was a great move. So will we see this happen in the future? Maybe. So the news that someone dropped today, yesterday, and we've been seeing this whole data leak and all this stuff, right? We've been seeing all this stuff. I mean, just because of a couple of shirts, all of us have been losing our minds about it, right? But we don't know how old that information is, just like Harvey said. We don't know how old it is for us to be like, oh, man, let's confirm this. Let's go this 100%. We got to wait till the company says something, right? So if Xbox does say something and says, hey, we're going to give our games over to the PlayStation, we're going to give our games to Nintendo, if they do say something like that, as an Xbox fan, I got to say this. If that does happen, because I cannot control how the business is handled over there. We can never control that. We cannot. We're just out here just talking, having fun, spitting facts. That's what we do here. But we cannot control what they do with their business. But if Xbox actually does that, the question is, what is Sony going to give back to Xbox, and what is Nintendo going to give back to Xbox? Because it has to be a give situation. It's not like, oh, I'm going to give my games over there for free. Nah. It can't be like that.
Microsoft is going to get something, lots of money. I don't think there's going to be I don't think there's going to be a trade-off. Like I don't.
It could be a trade-off and money too, but it has to give them at least a game over there. Because listen, if Xbox is doing it, and we've seen this for the last couple of years, how Xbox has been doing things, we see Sony right behind them doing the same thing.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But yeah,
I mean, you're onto something, Louis, because it would look. I'll put it to this way. Let's say, for instance, folks, this does happen. Now, granted, the whole case by case basis, and each game is going to be a situational thing. I get all of that. No issues there. But if, let's say, for instance, HiFi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and Grounded are the first three, they get over on PlayStation, they get on Nintendo, and they start doing well. They're selling. People are buying them. People are playing them. There's more players. Microsoft is just not leaving a freaking penny on the table. They want all. They want to be a $4 trillion company, not a $3 trillion. Oh, okay, fine. It will only be a matter of time before Sony does that. Now, what does Sony do that with? God of War? Nah, that's not happening. Uncharted, you could forget that. Last of Us? No. Maybe a Spider-Man 2018, but even then I'm still having a hard time because they keep their stuff really close to the vest. Nintendo, you're not getting anything from Nintendo. You're just not. You'll give Nintendo stuff, but you're not getting anything from them. So I don't know how the back and forth is going to work in regards to IPs,
exactly.
But I know it's going to be simply about money.
I had a question for Harvey today because he's talking about how exclusives are important, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw a what if thing, right? I'm gonna throw a what if out there. What if media has not been truthful about the exclusives, especially on PlayStation side? Because we get the idea about how exclusives are so special because of the PlayStation fanboys talking about it and just spitting out saying the exclusives are the best of the best of the best. We have that idea, right? But seeing the numbers out there, I mean, if they are so special, the exclusives, why aren't they the number one games played on their platform? Yet third-party publishers are the number one games on their platform. It's not the first party. So that is something, that I wanted to ask Hargreave. Like that idea that he has that exclusives are real special, right? But what if the media, this is a what if question, right? What if the media has been telling us this in order to go buy a PlayStation that we have an idea, oh, this console has the best exclusives, right? Now we need Xbox to bring the best exclusives. So Xbox is going to start bringing the best exclusives. They bring it. They're good. They're awesome. But, hey, if the fans don't pay it, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to have to, or let me move it over here.
Yeah.
So people can play. So,
yeah, it's interesting because I will say, and again, this is again part of the thought experiment, folks. I almost look. Okay, so this is gonna sound scandalous. I almost want to see Hi-Fi Rush launch on the PlayStation 5 because what I want to see are these coward journalists give this Game of the Year buzz, and they took a dump on it. You know, it's a cartoon game when it was on Xbox. I almost want to see that happen just to see the cowards at the and again, not all journalists, but a good portion of these journalists are just keyboard cowards and cowboy cowards because they can type and they don't actually have to interact with people and say some stuff that they don't have to really adhere to. They just say it and it's into the ether. I'd be interested to see that. But listen, anything else you'd like to add, Crazy Lou Gaming, to this shenanigans?
I'm done with it, man. Let's keep on going.
So listen, before we bring in Web Dave, let me catch up on the super chats. There's been quite a few of them, folks. So just give me a second. Tim the Sorcerer opens the door today with a £2 super chat and says, "Have a great show, panel and chat, brother. Thank you for the generosity and of course the kind words." Bunty drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "All I have to say is if this is true, we better get something from PlayStation and Nintendo. If it's not that BS, so I think they can't say nothing." Again, you literally heard that sentiment from Crazy Lou Gaming. Is there going to be a give and take? And I just don't know. Xbox is in third place, not financially. They're making money hand over fist. It's egregious how much money they're making, and that, mind you, that's only since October, since the deal was closed, and ABK and what they do there was a part of their fiscals, right? Wait till they have an entire year of a good Call of Duty game and microtransactions from Warzone, and in this year, in spring, Warzone is coming to mobile. It's going to be ridiculous how much money they're making, which is, again, my point is, when you're making that much money, I don't necessarily think you need to put your games on anyone else's platform. You're just making so much money, but at this point, what is it? Is it greed? I don't know. Whole Grain Bread drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "We should just stop." KT the Goat confirmed the data miner said he made it up, and there's no reason to even talk or get worked up about this. Whole Grain Bread, I hear you. And KT to Go, brother, you guys are here every day, and I cannot thank you enough for the outstanding support. But again, I read what I read. I mean, whether you consider Tom Warren, trustworthy, that's up to you. I do trust Tom. He doesn't know who I am, which is fine, but I don't need that in my life. So he reported it. Other people have reported. Jez Corden, who we all know and love, and who doesn't love Jez Corden, part of the Windows Central, and obviously the Xbox 2 with Rand. He said it on last week's show that there are some titles coming over to PlayStation, and he can confirm that. He confirmed it also. He didn't say what titles, but he confirmed it live on the show. So, I mean, listen, I understand. I don't want to believe it either, but I think it is a reality. Thanks for the generosity, Whole Grain. Super appreciate it. Dean Rivera drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I just don't get why Phil would get on the stand and cry about PlayStation having all the exclusives and making it hard for Xbox to exist. Makes no sense." Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there, brother. Jay Rambert drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Whatever happened to just buying an Xbox to play Xbox games? This diminishes the brand, but MS will do what MS feels they need to do." Spot on, Hargeet. Yep, absolutely. Chris R drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says this: "Good discussion, but the reason we are having it is because we have an absence of official announcements. Xbox marketing needs to make their plans clear." And I really think that that's the key right there. If they would just would come out and say, "Listen, whatever the plan is," I think, and I'm not sounding like an entitled a-hole, I think that you owe an explanation to your fan base. I do. Now, if you feel that I'm an entitled asshole for that, I'm not going to fight you because it does sound a little bit, uppity, even coming out of my own mouth. But I think that we support the brand. The diehards really go out of their way, and we support the brand, and we rah it, and just be honest with the peoples, man. If you're going third party or you're going to start putting games, just tell us, and then we're just going to have to accept it. That's it. Bunty drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Is PlayStation willing to give their dev kit for these games?" I don't know about that. You see, that is a sticking point. It's an interesting point, dude. Very good point. Ultron Quake drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, "Boom, I bought Suicide Squad on your recommendation, and I'm loving it." Yes. I'm glad that you not thinking that I made you waste your money. The way IGN and other gaming media trashing the game and Rocksteady was horrible. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I was talking to my good friend Jada Destroyer this morning, and I have some real concerns for Rocksteady. This game is just getting beat up so bad, and if this game fails, and it looks like it might, like I said, they don't WB Games does not know who Double Barrel Gaming is, and that's fine. I paid for the game, and even if they would have offered the code, like ACG, I would buy. I buy my own games. I don't take handouts because I'm not going to be purchased or hoard out to any company. I just don't. But I have some concerns for the actual developer. I hope that WB doesn't close them. That'd be a travesty of justice. EG Kenta, welcome to the program, EG. Thanks so much for being here. And of course, they drop a very generous $10 super chat and says, "If it came down to where all games are everywhere, I would still choose to stay on Xbox, not because of the box, but there is no better deal than having new games day one that I can play with with it in its services." And again, that's what Michelle Alexandria and several people in the chat are agreeing to. That is ultimately the exclusive for Xbox, and they're right, because $17, it's literally the best deal in just media. You just cannot get a better deal. Stuff Sean drops a very generous £2 super chat. And good morning, Sean. Thanks so much for being here. He says, "I'm sick to death of Microsoft mixed messaging." Indeed, they need to be better. And we've been banging that drum for years, and they just don't listen. I thought they were getting better, and well, this has kind of freaked its ugly head again. Highlander 001, for the love of Jehovah, he has gifted folks 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships, as he's done. Man, I got his streak is ridiculous. The generosity, I just don't even have any words other than a thank you very much for the incredible support. Andre, let's see, 4983 drops a very generous, and it looks like now it's an R, so I don't know what revenue it is, $10.90. So I think that equates to like 2 something. I don't know what it is in American money. Thank you so much for being here, brother, and thank you for the generosity. He says, what Microsoft gains in return is money. Simple as that. And dude, you are 1,000% correct. That's really what it is. And Keasante, that's my brother right there. He says, boom, they did not become a $3 trillion company by leaving any money on the table. And really, that's the crux of it. He's right. JJ Sayin 117 drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, "Unrealistic opinion, Microsoft might have made a deal with Sony and Nintendo to have Hi-Fi Rush in exchange for something. If so, Microsoft needs to explain." I mean, again, it's just they got to come out and speak about it. That's, I mean, you know what it is? I just don't see these two platforms giving up anything big. I just don't. I don't know why that is, man. But Web Dave, sorry to keep you waiting, brother. Let's get into it. What are your thoughts on this? Are you outraged? Are you disappointed? Are you upset? Is it a combination of things? Is this just, listen, it's the industry. Are we just dinosaurs? Because I know I am. I'm going to be 54. I'm a fossil, folks. That's a reality. And I have accepted that. but are we ultimately gaming dinosaurs where our ideologies of box equals game A and that's it? I think it's changing right before our eyes. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I don't believe it, to be honest with you. I really don't. I
Okay,
think
great.
I think
Excellent.
he's wrong. I think he actually made a mistake, or he's hanging his hat on some stuff that's not real. Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't really make any sense as far as where they're trying to build the brand, where they're trying to go, and where they're trying to do things. Now, of course, I could be wrong. Can maybe clip this out later and say like, "Oh, you were wrong." That's cool, but my big thing, and I know just a great topic to get onto because it's all over the place, and a lot of people are talking about it. But there's no there. is the way that's the way I see it. Is that it's I mean the guy came out and they pointed out to you and talked about it that the data mine thing that part but that's debunked because we know that's garbage. That's not it didn't happen. He was just he was just posting stuff and it was people ran with it and it was like it's not data mined at all. So even if the artwork is in the game, that they're just colors. They're not green, blue, red, purple, whatever. Doesn't really say that that's coming from that particular game or coming from that particular group of other companies that make game systems. I just don't. I don't. It doesn't make any sense from my standpoint to do this. And a lot of people will turn around and be like, makes perfect sense. They're trying to expand the brand. They're trying to do this and this and this and this and this. But I mean, Phil,
this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
There's a reason he said that. There was a reason he said that, and that's the whole reason they went after Bethesda to begin with. Now, could things change? Could they have tweaked things? Could they go a different direction? Of course, things happen. It's a business. It's a growing business, and that's the way they become a $3 trillion company, the leading company in the world, is by not following trends but setting them, and that's what they're doing is they are building a dynasty and trying to build the brand up, and now that Microsoft has a gaming division is the third most profitable in the entire Microsoft division. That means that they are doing things right, and if it does come down to what they need to do, cool. I mean, if anything makes sense to go to another platform, it would be something like a Sea of Thieves, for the simple fact that it is you play with other people. You know what I mean? It's a multiplayer type game. This game that the one we've been talking about, it's not. Hi-Fi Rush is not a multiplayer. I mean, not in the sense that's big, huge, massive amounts of people come in from all. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't think it's gonna happen. Boom. I don't know. Call me cynical, skeptical, delusional, whatever all you want to throw at me. I just for some reason it just doesn't click. I just think it's something that's some fanboys have put out there, and they keep running with it. 27. We're all golf first party, blah blah blah. Oh, really? That's funny because it looks like Sony's the one that's in a lot of trouble, and they just trying to avert the topics and divert the attention away from the troubles that they are in, and Sony is in big trouble. And
Something?
we all know it.
Can I add some context to
You
that?
add whatever you want. Search your show.
Yeah, no, because I and folks, I think you're going to agree with me here. One of the things that we have noticed over the last couple of years, Microsoft has gotten their ducks in order, right? They are a powerhouse. They are not the same company or platform that they were in 2018 pre E3, right? They've made some really big moves with acquisitions, putting people in positions that need to be there, that are the talking heads, that have the player and the consumer at the forefront of the conversation, right? So that we can all agree. It is odd, and I have to agree here because you see this more often whenever there is good Xbox news, and there's a run of good Xbox conversation. or Sony takes a dump like they did with their State of Play. Like even their own players are. I gave it a 7, and I'll stand by that. But you saw some of the some of the videos out there, people using F-bombs like it was going out of style. People calling this Sony at their worst. I'm not making that up. Go watch the videos. You know who I'm talking about, which we don't have to name names here. And whenever Sony takes a dump, no one focuses on the fact that Sony took a dump. They somehow immediately bring in some negative Xbox news. So I'm not saying that that's fully what this is. I'm saying that it's very coincidental, and I'm not a coincidental kind of a guy. I think things are done on purpose. I think that we know the gaming media wants to protect Sony, and Sony can't take a dump. They need their platform of choice to be number one. I don't know, Dave. That's my spiel. What you want to add anything else?
But I mean, I don't know. It's just it just feels like that somebody's stirring the pot to try and avert attention away from the trouble that Sony is in, and I think, and maybe I'm not, but I think all of us have pretty much seen the clips that have gone around of the amazing Lucas.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. He kind of
lost his mind, and he's super diehard fanboy Sony.
He had a meltdown.
He
did.
Yeah,
he
did.
was so. But you know what? He's not wrong. All the points he brought up are like, it's what we've been selling you. But he just he seems like he's one of those ponies that maybe he's waking up and trying to get them to wake up. But I don't know, man. I think they're pretty far in the hole, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. Crispy Bomb, I know you've been sitting there, and you're probably pacing back and forth. Let's get your hot take on this, man. A Crispy Rant, I would imagine, is forthcoming. What are your thoughts on this, man? I mean, is this all about the do of nothing?
I believe they love this. They haven't killed it for a reason. Everybody, like even the State of Play. Look at Lucas talking about Xbox. Okay. Everybody, Xbox lives in your brains. Even if you're not on Xbox. I mean, some of them are, let's be honest. Okay. Like the dude that placed the Series X in his trash can and put a couple bottles under it and put a clean garbage bag. And then what did he do after? He smooched and said, I just wanted clicks. That's what I said, because that's what it is. Okay. People are all about this. Like, you can make revenue on Twitter, people. I can't for some reason, even though I am very poignant. I don't care, though. I will call people out. Some people are being ridiculous right now. We have no confirmation from Microsoft, number one, which I agree with Dave. Mm-hmm. But why should they kill it if it's a conversation about an Xbox game? I don't think they should. At the end of the day, what was trending? Oh, Hellblade 2 and stuff like that after the State of Play. Because people were arguing about how good Death Stranding 2 looked. And I'll tell you right now, Kojima must have played Hi-Fi Rush, because look at what they showed. Magical guitar dude doing guitar things, shooting electricity out of it. Interesting. Isn't that funny? So I laugh at people that act like Microsoft doesn't know when to shut up, because they do. But they also know when to speak up. So if the majority of us are upset about this, just speak up, Microsoft, and just say, no, this is not coming there. Or explain yourself. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. But don't sit here and act like people aren't talking about it and also getting upset about it. Okay? Like, there are some people that I've followed for years that are acting like this is the worst thing in the world. It doesn't matter to me. And Hargy, I mean, I wanted to chime in, but I know he had limited time. Bringing up Gears. And the only thing I say is Gears heads, actual Gears multiplayer people, that's what's still finding matches every time I load it up, say, yeah, we know it's going to be crossplay, so come play with us. See what happens. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna get superb kills. I'm gonna curb stomp those mother truckers. That's the way I look at it. Now, some people will be like, "Oh, you can't have the main IPs come there." If Sea of Thieves went there, I don't care. If Hi-Fi Rush went there and on Switch, which I think it's more attributed to Switch, why not? But at this point in time, it is still speculation. And I have respect for Tom Warren, but I've also read some other things, thanks to even this chat earlier, that say otherwise. So I'm going to hold myself to the way I always think. I don't care where you play. If we can share games, that's even better. And that's who I am. I've played on PC. I've played on Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, Xbox. Okay? At the end of the day, you have a $3 trillion company and they're there for a reason. Xbox made more revenue than Windows. Think about that. Windows is the
That's
OG.
why it's number 3, dude. It's number 3 moneymaker for them. Yeah.
And you have to realize that you can't say, like, everybody's like, oh, Death Stranding 2. Well, guess what? Death Stranding's on PC Game Pass. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
So, I mean, maybe it's not on Xbox Game Pass, like the full on, but if you have a PC, you can play Death Stranding. So think about that for a second. MLB The Show, prime example. Sure, you could say MLB was the problem, but articles that have just been reiterated, okay? They had success. People actually purchased the game. And that's where you go and say Game Pass is the exclusive. Now, let's be hypothetical for a second. Let's say Hi-Fi Rush actually released on PlayStation, right? But then we go 5 years, or we'll say 3 to 5 years later, Elder Scrolls 6 is exclusive only to Xbox. Would you have that trade-off? I would. Just saying.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and it's one of those IPs that I actually think is going to remain exclusive, because it is going to move subs. It's going to move consoles potentially. It could be a launch title for the next Xbox, which it looks like that's lining up. If you want to sell your new box, which they're going to have, we know they're having a new Xbox. That's how you do it. So that makes sense. Now, you say trade-off. Again, it's look, they're going to do what they're going to do. And
they don't have to trade, and I want to agree with you on this. They don't have to trade anything. Yeah. And that's where I go and say, like, but also we have known, and Xbox, as far as like the DRM, like all the things that actually came out in 2013 that were egregious and horrible have actually come to fruition. And people look at this thing like they look at what Microsoft and treating how Xbox has been treated. And until we got Phil, you had basically a stagnant mentality. And then you got Phil, and Phil said, no, we're looking to the future. Yep. And that's what Microsoft's done for its like entirety. That's why it's a $3 trillion company. It's not because they hate on people or anything else. It's because they do what they think is right. And sometimes people hate it, and that's okay. That's what a company does sometimes. You know what I mean?
Look, I'm not losing my shit over this. I'm having a conversation, and folks, look, I'm reading the chat, and no names. Please have your opinion. Continue to have that opinion, and we love you for it here. We honestly do. The banter, you don't have to talk, but you're here talking, and I'm reading, and I'm listening. I understand that for some, this is a frustrating topic. Why are we talking about this, Boom? It hasn't happened. We're talking about it because I do shows 5 days a week. It is a relevant conversation. Now, maybe it's not a conversation you want to have. I understand that because it's frustrating. But I feel that as someone who considers his show tip of the spear, and I'm not blowing smoke up my own ass, folks, here. I work hard here. Super, super pointed in everything that we do. I don't chase trends. This jumped off last night. People are still talking about it. I think it's a relevant conversation. Now, we are going to get to another one in a few moments. But like I said, I understand if you don't want to believe this, by all means, don't believe it. It hasn't happened as of yet. We have some evidence that some people will consider to be, at best, wishy-washy. I hear you. I know some people. One gentleman, I believe he put a super chat in here. Let me see where it was, or he just said it in the that I'm a part of the problem. I don't think so, because I have a question mark. I'm not confirming anything. I said the word confirm, but it's asking a question is what it's doing. Again, I don't think I'm a part of the problem. I think it's a conversation that we should have. And even more so, if you are as in tuned to Xbox as I am, you know that they listen, they hear the feedback, and sometimes they make moves based on the sentiment of the fans. So if you just sit on your hands and you don't say anything, and then shit happens, you're to blame because you didn't tell them that you didn't like it, which is what I've been doing. But I'm not screaming and cursing and going to be on an episode of Oh No, It's Alex, because I am using decorum. I am going to compose myself and give you my negative feedback, but I'm going to do it in a proper manner, which is what we've done so far. Again, if you're not enjoying the conversations, I don't know what to say. I think this is an important one, though. And I think that because Microsoft listens, we should be having these conversations. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your hot take on this as we close in on 700 people in the chat. That is absolutely amazing. I know that you're going to be pointed as me. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll start off with an example. When I was on PS3, what do you call it? Dead Rising was a very appealing game while I was on PS3, and I always wondered if it would ever come to PlayStation, and it didn't. Dead Rising 1 never came to PlayStation.
Right.
And I considered for a while getting a 360 at the point. Like, most of the games I was playing were different than other people in the office. Most of the people in the office had, a 360 and they were playing Halo. It didn't interest me back then, so didn't care. But Dead Rising would have been that killer app that would have made me buy a 360. Then Dead Rising 2 came out, and it was everywhere. And I forgot all about the 360. Never bought a 360 the entire generation. Still don't have plans on buying the 360. But coming into the previous generation with Xbox One, started off with the PS4, picked up my Xbox One later because of Quantum Break, because of Sunset Overdrive, because of Rise, Son of Rome, and a few other ones, and particularly Forza, considering how Drive Club had kind of turned me off as far as it was a year delay, and it was broken even after being a year delay for a couple of months, even because it was supposed to be an online game that didn't work online. So and it was supposed to be a Forza killer, so that's what made me look at Xbox. Fast forward to today, if they put their games on PlayStation, I can't imagine those individuals that may have been on the fence that would be waiting to pick up an Xbox for Hellblade 2 or for, what is it? The Revolution, Clockwork
Revolution from Exile,
or any of the first party titles that we've seen over the past year or two. I would say that PlayStation owner that would have been on the fence of getting that Xbox is probably going to forget about it when rumors like this come up, because they're like, oh, I'll just wait until it comes to my box. I already spent $500 on the box in front of me. Why am I going to spend another $300, $400, or $500 to get another box just for one game in particular kind of thing? That one game's coming over to where I already play. So I don't think it's going to work out as well as Microsoft bean counters may think. I mean, if they're already having trouble buying their first party titles over there, what do you think our first party titles are going to do over there? I mean, sure, Call of Duty.
You know what? Can I just pop in for a hot second and say bravo to you, kind sir, because that's a phenomenal point. I actually never really thought about that. And again, this is not a console war comment. This is a reality. PlayStation
it's-
players, as we know, which the 15%ers, the diehards, the ones that get on and do their thing on social media, we know for a fact that they don't buy the games because Jim Ryan, former CEO, told us so. So that's a phenomenal point. If they're not buying The Last of Us and they're not buying Uncharted and they're not buying some of this, the console exclusives, even if they're second or third party, are they going to buy Xbox games? Probably not.
I mean, the exceptions to the rule would be your Call of Duty, maybe the games that were previous multi-plats like your Fallouts or your Elder Scrolls or something like that. But Hi-Fi Rush, I don't see PlayStation people buying it. Like the ones that would buy it already bought it, or they already subscribed to Game Pass. So what are we doing here at this point? I mean, here's clear evidence for you. You wait a while for a game to come out and you want to see how many people buy it. Go look at Steam for the PlayStation games that are on Steam. None of them sell when they wait a couple of years after the fact compared to if they would release them day and date. Now, I'm not saying we should put everything everywhere day and date, but if you're going to wait this time out for certain titles and then put them over there, whatever, potential buzz or firmer about it is already passed and people have moved on to other games. I mean, let's just look at the past few years, 2023 and this year, 2024, are stacking up to be loaded with games. So putting a game from a couple of years ago or a year or so ago on another platform isn't going to move the needle. But hey, I'm not a marketing guy anymore. I'm not part of, those meetings at Microsoft, but hey, maybe somebody has better insight. Let's hope so. Yes, they are a $3 trillion company, but it wasn't built off of their gaming aspect. Let's be fair and clear about that. It was built off of their servers and their software for PC. But that's another story.
Fuzzy, to add to that is that they also did Windows Phone. How did that work out?
Yeah, they killed it.
They did Zune. How did that work out? Right?
Like, Mrs.
it
Boom
isn't
still
always
uses one. We got the
hit.
boombox. It's Zune is amazing, and they killed it. Yeah.
Fuzzy, this is why I asked the question earlier. I mean, could it be because we all have been hearing for the longest of time? I'm telling you, we've been here for the longest of time on the PlayStation side that the exclusives are the best. They're the thing. They're the best thing ever. But behind the scenes, is that real? Because again, if we look at the sales numbers, because this is the thing, though, we got to look at the numbers, right? Sales numbers. Do they actually sell as well as much as they talk about it, that they're so great? No, they don't. I mean, last year we saw what games were the number one on their platform. It was Call of Duty. It was Fortnite. It was another. What else was it? Minecraft. But no PS exclusive. Now, if you look on Nintendo's side, hey, that's a different story, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe all this time, this is a what if situation. Media has been telling us, and the PS fanboys have been telling us, yes, exclusives are great, but behind the scenes, are they really that great on the selling point?
The one great thing that they have as far as the selling point is it defines your ecosystem. Like, here's a perfect example. Phones, for example, Apple. The whole reason why Apple does so well in the US and not so well in the rest of the world is because of the Blue Bubble. The Blue Bubble is the default app, and so many people become accustomed to that now you don't want to talk to people with the green bubble over on Android or anything along those lines. So if you have certain exclusives, and people have tried to create that Blue Bubble elsewhere, and Apple either calls out the security flaws or the security flaws present themselves on that. But it's one of those things where that's their draw, and I don't ever foresee them allowing the Blue Bubble elsewhere. Now, there have been talks about it. They probably already have the software to do it, ready to go if the EU forces their hand, but they're not going to do it willingly. So unless it's one of those things where exclusives are more so like the determining factor of which thing you buy first or buy into. So it gets your foot in the door. But most of the stuff comes down to, what are you playing with your friends? And if PlayStation's main exclusives are all single player, well, you're not playing those with your friends. You're playing Call of Duty with your friends. You're playing FIFA or Madden with your friends, or 2K with your friends. So it helps, but it's just more so the starting point. But to have a new IP go over to that other platform so frivolously kind of thing. Just seems like it defeats the purpose of having that new IP as the exclusive. And sure, I get it. Game Pass is the ultimate exclusive, and it would make more sense if you can't. I guess the thing is that they can't twist the arms of Nintendo and PlayStation to put the Game Pass app there, even if it was just curated to like the first party studio stuff, which to me would make more sense. But to put it over there, okay, you put it over there for sale, but are you going to get the numbers that you expect? And Nintendo titles, some titles over there sell, some don't. If they are a true first party title, they more than likely sell, especially if they have Zelda or Mario in it.
Ooh,
Some of the
make all
other
the money.
ones don't do so well over there. I mean, sure, 3 million is great, and a lot of studios are happy with 3 million sales on a title, but it's not a 10 or 20 million or 30 million title sale for every Nintendo game. Just certain key ones, which are their first party. But we'll see how things go. But my personal thought is I don't want to see this, moving over to other platforms as far as those particular consoles. It would be nice if there was some sort of exchange program. And sure, I get the messaging. It'd be great if everybody plays, and that's fine. But they only seem to say that around Xbox games and not some of the other ones.
Exactly.
And you don't have the media pushing this narrative to get, God of War or Spider-Man elsewhere. But I hearken this whole thing. Like, I don't believe this to be possibly the case for a couple of reasons. All right, so the data mine stuff could be old legacy stuff in the code. A lot of times with games, they don't, immediately remove the stuff. And I haven't downloaded the game to my PC, which I could probably do later today and see how recent those files are compared to the rest of the coding in the game. But in the grand scheme of things, if the game has already reached this 1 year anniversary, wouldn't that be a perfect time to announce it coming to another platform? Wouldn't the other platform having a showcase be a perfect time to announce that, transition? So I kind of think that the gaming media in general is always coming up with these FUD stories to some extent around the time when it's either kind of like what Boom said earlier, when it's bad news for Xbox, or not bad news, but good news for Xbox, bad news for PlayStation, just for the fact that it seems like it always happens. Like it's either, oh, well, that game is going to be multi-plat, or, who uses batteries in a controller at this day and age, and just random stories that always come up when we have a showcase, or we find out that we just got 10 games dropped into Game Pass, or there's this new service is going to be added, or this new feature is added to the console. All the time there's always a counter story. And before, PlayStation used to be good at combating those themselves, because they'd be like, we just sold 10 million copies of God of War, or we sold 50 million consoles. That used to be PlayStation's old MO, but since they're kind of on shaky ground now, I guess the gaming media has to make up for them. So
exactly.
I don't know. It feels weird. I agree with Dave. I don't feel that this is real. I just think there was something there that was already nixed or canceled or whatever, and people keep bringing it up. Just like people keep bringing up Scalebound. Oh, I was going to buy an Xbox for Scalebound. Were you really though?
No,
I mean,
probably
really?
not. That's all lies.
That's all lies.
Indeed. First of all, welcome back, Hargeet. Glad to have you here. We have a topic we're going to get into. This comes the way of Hazardor Gaming. Again, that dude is just, he's phenomenal. If you're not following Hazardor Gaming, you should, because that dude is consistently in the know, if you will. He's right up there with, of course, Idle Sloth. Peter Ovo is another one that I enjoy following, because they're consistently, dropping nuggets. They basically are machines, all of them. And I love the work that they do. So shout out to Hazardor Gaming once again. And before we get to that topic, two things, folks. One, as you know, small channel, right? Obviously, we have partnered with the Valari Gaming Pillow Company. And look, when you start your YouTube channel and you get partnered and people start to notice your work, you start getting offers for controllers and peripherals, and sometimes it's garbage. Sometimes it's someone with a G says, hey, reach out to me. I can edit your videos. We get about 20 a week, and especially offers to partner with people. We do not take that lightly. This is a brand that is still growing. It took a lot of sweat, blood, and tears to get where we are, and we are very protective over that brand. So when the Valari Gaming Pillow Company reached out, they're from Mumbai, and I was like, well, sounds interesting because I'm a guy with back problems. So a gaming pillow, I originally thought, hey, this would go behind me. Turns out that wasn't the case. So they said, hey, can we send you one? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, why not? Let me check it out. I'm not guaranteeing that we're going to partner up, but I want to make sure the product works and that I'm going to use it because I'm never going to sell you a product that I don't use. And I got it. And I said, wow, this actually works. So, I use it. I still use it. But the one that I use I was gifted a branded pillow from the Iron Lord podcast, which is dope. It's black. It's got the gold trim. It's got the gold logo. It's really sharp looking. And King David is the one that gifted me that, and that's the one I use. So I'm not a cue card reader. I don't think it does the pillow justice, to be honest with you. So I had Sean Labrie, which is one of the best artists in the business, actually make me a commercial, and I'm going to play that for you. It's 35 seconds. Obviously, there is a code attached to Double Barrel Gaming. You can use DBG at DBG15 at checkout, and you'll save 15% off of your entire order. Folks, by just, again, humor me if you will. Please check out the commercial. So there you go, folks. That is the commercial. 35 seconds. Thank you so much for your time. Again, the Valari Gaming Pillow, they're legit. And many people that have bought the pillow who suffer from back issues like myself have reached out to me both on social media and privately and like, boom, this is the greatest thing ever. Go check it out. Go take a look at some of the videos of people using it, and it really does work. It does. And again, I'm surgically repaired. L5, L4, S1, hardware out the ass. I'm like Wolverine, except I have no claws, and you can kill me at any second. I won't regenerate. So definitely check out the pillow and let them know that I sent you over there to check it out. And again, use the code DBG15 at checkout. So real quick, Hargeet, we're gonna get you in here because this is a fun topic because it's fun and it's concerning at the same time. Before we get to that, let me read some of these super chats. Gamer by Choice drops not one but two $5 super chat, and he says Microsoft probably did not think about gaming being like sports. They see it as a business as business opportunities. I can see Microsoft not understanding fans. Sad but true. I mean, there might be some truth to that, but man, Phil Phil, Sarah, Matt, Aaron, they kind of have their finger on the pulse. Like they are who we thought that they were. So I don't know. I mean, but you might be onto something. His second $5 super chat says this: I wonder if investors know or care about brand loyalty. Now, Xbox is so important to Microsoft. It is on the investors' radar now. That's a good point. Sometimes it's good and bad. Actually, as a matter of fact, Everborn Saga said he had some concerns about Xbox going corporate. There's your thought. Supreme Pony, welcome to the program. He says Web Dave lied. The guy never said he lied. Actually, I think he actually did. And I think Web Dave kind of threw it into the private chat. It says here.
One from Peter if you want to make it. Click on that one.
Yeah. You know what? Let me bring that one up. The Peter Ovo. I just mentioned Peter. Peter says the guy that posted the PlayStation and Nintendo Hi-Fi Rush image lied. He got the image from Tumblr, did not data mine it. So again, it's I guess we're gonna know when we know, as the kids say. So that's that. But thank you so much for throwing that in there. And thank you for being here, Mr. Pony. Certainly appreciate you dropping in and saying hello, and hopefully you subscribe. We have SAS Shadows. You know who that is. That's Mr. Gears himself. I think Crispy Bomb knows this gentleman. He drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, Gears head here. I say bring on PlayStation so it can get
My man.
nashered. Yeah, that's actually what Crispy said. He wants to just tear up and I won't say the word peas apart by you in Gears. I please don't bring Gears to PlayStation. Don't do that. Now I'm gonna mispronounce the name. He said it to me a while. I haven't read his name in a while. I'm old. I forgot. It's CR Wimpy. Now I don't know what that equates to. He drops not one but two $10 super chat. So, sir, thank you so much for the generosity. And of course, I apologize from my heart that I butchered your poor name. He says this after dropping the first $10 super chat. I don't understand the exclusive thing. I've always played games where I want to. I love all platform besides Nintendo. I love that. That's great. That means that you play on PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, and Nintendo. I'm a Nintendo kid, man. I've been since I was 15, and I just love the brand. Jonas the Dad. I'll get to your other super chat in a second, brother. Jonas the Dad drops a $5 super chat and says, feels like I was hot lied to. I love Xbox, but Phil shouldn't have said games are exclusive to Xbox Game Pass. Sony isn't sharing why is Xbox. PlayStation doesn't buy. I mean, that's your again, a lot of people are going to be like, Phil lied, and I don't want to hear that talk because then it's going to be true. And I don't know. I don't know what changed. I don't know if this is an Amy Hood decision. She's the money lady. Like she gives all the thumbs ups and thumbs down, and maybe they're putting pressure because, like one of the other super chats said, now it's on the radar. It's number 3 in the company for money. People are going to start looking at it. So CR Wimpy says, if Nintendo goes after Power World, I'm snapping my Switch OLED in half. Stop hating people who makes games they wish they y'all made. Yeah, they're not going to go after them. They don't have a leg to stand on. They would have already did a cease and desist order. Power World is not a Pokemon game. Power World is its own thing. It does have characters that resemble Pokemon, but it's their own thing. Nintendo doesn't have a leg to stand on. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, who thought to data mine this info? That's a good question. Why these colors and those messages? Is this mixed messaging or Microsoft's best manipulative marketing play ever? Thoughts? Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's a head scratcher. I mean, I think we've all covered it, and I don't know what else to say other than I don't know, man. It is mixed messaging for sure. Lastly, Simon Brady drops a very generous Simon Brandy drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, Satya said, let us compete. Multiplat is giving up. Those extra sales are not worth devaluing Xbox. I agree. I'm sick of Xbox giving the media what they want. I mean, that's another strong point. I can't argue that. Hargeet, look, I want to grab your opinion on this before you got to get out of here. Hasdor Gaming put out this tweet, and I thought it was brilliant. And as we know, layoffs are becoming almost a trending thing, which is incredibly sad. Every day, if it's not Microsoft, it's Xbox. If it's not Xbox, it's Sega. If it's not Sega, it's Embracer. And Embracer is in a pickle. They had a deal fall through last year that put the company on real notice. And we just saw that a new Deus Ex was canceled, which broke my heart. I love the first two, the remakes, like the modern version of Deus Ex. But the tweet from Hasdor Gaming has me asking a question here. He says 3 Embracer/former Embracer studios are now co-developing first-party projects for Xbox. The initiative is working with Crystal Dynamics on Perfect Dark, In Exile and Shapeshifter Games, which is a new studio, has been confirmed to be working on Clockwork Revolution. And Playground Games and Eidos Montreal are working on Fable. These are monster IPs. And I would imagine, and I'm still going to say this, I think they're still going to be exclusive. I think they're too big not to be. That's not my question, though, Hargeet. My question is, at what point do they bring these studios in to the fray, making them a part of Xbox Game Studios? And I say that because they're going to be the roots that build these new games. To pull out these roots, to pull out these devs, it doesn't make any sense. It would hurt the game for sequels. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, the laying off of people from Eidos kind of stinks. Deus Ex not being made.
Yeah.
This was an interesting gamble from Embracer, right? And something didn't work out, as we all know, and now they're kind of in a bind. There's a little bit of a rescue package with some Game Pass deals, right? Some games from Embracer showed up on Game Pass. Will they buy these studios? I don't know. Will they just buy Embracer? I don't know. Embracer doesn't exactly cost that much, and especially in the status it's in, it would just really be rescuing them, just like they did with other purchases, right? Other acquisitions. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's what happens instead. How much damage before it's done, though? That's the big question, right? Their next focus has to be on Japan. It just has to. They have to get to that point. Now, that could be something like Pal World, right? They just do something with that IP or that studio or something like that. That could be the next big thing there. Or it could be something else they're co-developing and they decide, hey, that studio's game looks pretty good. We'll just buy that studio. The smart money would always be on, hey, you've been buying publishers. Why wouldn't you buy a publisher out in Japan? Anything they do there is going to be big then, and therefore it's going to take time, and therefore it puts more potential headache on the side of Embracer to keep those studios alive. I don't know where that ends up, right? Unfortunately, the world we're in right now, it's tougher for them to just go buy something, and this is that little headache of, do you go third party, in which case you can basically buy whatever you want because you're saying I'm putting everything everywhere, and you're
games are everywhere, so there's no reason to block us.
Yeah. Until you get to 30-40% of the market, it doesn't matter, right? And buying something like Embracer does not put them anywhere close to that, so it would be no issue. Buying something like Square, again, doesn't put them anywhere close to that, no issue, right? Frankly, even buying Take-Two or Ubisoft or something like that doesn't put them there. So could they go? Could that be? This could be a precursor to that kind of thing. This is the calculus we don't have, right? We're not in their meetings to understand what they're doing, what they're planning to do, and what their next moves are. Certainly the Embracer folks and Phil have been very cordial, very friendly, right? So it is a possibility that they're talking, and there might be something happening there potentially. You can't guess that they can just buy the studios. It would seem kind of weird that because they were in the middle of some sort of acquisition, that they wanted to buy these studios, but they couldn't, and Embracer bought them, and then they went to Embracer and bought them from there. You might end up in some sort of scrutiny from government saying, wait, did you have them park those studios there? Right. So it would be cleaner to just say, no, look, Embracer's dying. We're just going to buy them, right? To rescue those studios, to rescue that publisher. And then we're going to do something to clean it up and, get to a point of profitability, right? Okay. That might, by the way, it does mean layoffs. I'm just saying, right? There's
it absolutely would, because
it will happen.
That's where you get the crossover. Yeah.
Just even if Microsoft buys them to rescue them, there will be some layoffs. You have to just accept that. But yeah, I mean, it's very disappointing. Those studios have been kind of jostled ever since they were with Square. They just never measured up to Square standards. And then they got sold for very low amounts of money with the IPs, and haven't really been able to do much for them except for the contracts they already have with Microsoft, right? So that's cool, but yeah, I don't know about the acquisition thing. Again, they have so many priorities. There's also just integrating ABK, which we still haven't even had a showcase of their stuff, a roundtable with them. We have nothing in Game Pass yet from ABK. When does that all start, right? And all the while, paychecks have to keep being printed, right? You got to keep paying these folks, and if you're not going to get revenue from games, what do you do as Embracer? It's a pickle. I don't know when, and unfortunately the FTC is continuing their stupid litigation, so that's further dragging things out. So they're probably not going to buy anything until that whole thing is wrapped up. So you're looking at something if they're doing anything, it'd be the end of the year, and I don't know how cash strapped Embracer is. If they're in trouble, there are probably going to be more of these. Unfortunately, there's going to be more of these kind of moves. Which just sucks. It just sucks. I wish there was a better answer. I mean, the other side is you could say, hey, maybe PlayStation or Nintendo make a move. Well, Nintendo said they don't want to bother, and I mean, you got to look at their side of it. Like, they make the same profit as both of their competitors combined. So they're like, why do we need to do anything? Our games sell.
They don't.
10,
they just need to keep doing what they're doing, and they're about to launch a console, and there's more stuff. Like, I don't know whether you saw Hargeet. I'm excited because I'm an OG. They just re-trademarked the Star Fox IP in December.
So we have another one of those. That'd be crazy. Imagine that being a launch title, along with this most likely going to be another Mario Kart, which will sell like 30-40 million copies.
There's going to be another Smash. There's going to be the 3D
Smash.
Mario.
There's
There's
just
going to be an
crazy.
F-Zero supposedly.
So acquisitions wise, I don't think they're really interested, right? So I mean, that's what they said, and I believe them. They don't need it. They got so much of their own that they're probably fine, right? If anybody, they would go after Platinum, because Platinum makes is it the Bayonetta series or whatever that they've been kind of partnering on, right? So that would make more sense if they were going to go buy somebody. So I just don't see them doing anything here. PlayStation has to kind of figure out their profitability. Could they acquire? Sure, they could. Are they going to go invest in those? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen anything moving there yet, but we'll see. Maybe they do something. But that's kind of where it is, right? So both sides, it's kind of in an odd state. PlayStation also has an interim CEO starting in the next month. It is what it is, right? You have to kind of just deal with that. And I don't know what they're going to be able to do in the next year-ish. So they're both kind of in an odd state, which just leaves Embracer kind of hanging. It sucks, but it is what it is. So I don't know that that's going to happen soon. This is kind of a disappointing thing. But until this FTC thing is wrapped up, they're not going to make any moves. And really, the next move they need to make, unfortunately, it has to be in Japan. It just really does. They've already done massive moves out in the West. They really have to pivot to Japan and try to do something there. Could it be that they try to do something with Embracer that embroils them in another 2 years, right? And it's is that really what we need? That means the next generation, they're going to have to do something in Japan. And it's like, you need to kind of have it. And the reason why is you want to have a massive amount of content that you have as a launch lineup that includes Japanese content and Western content as your next gen launch.
Yeah.
And, to say something like crazy, like, hey, we're going to have the next Dragon Quest as a launch lineup exclusive or something. Well, it probably wouldn't be exclusive, but launch lineup
but if it launched into your service
in Game Pass, right?
That'd be a big deal,
right? Or the next Final Fantasy, right? 16 came out. What was it, last year? So you'd be just about getting to that in the 27, 28 time frame, right? So you'd say, hey, our next big game will also include Final Fantasy 17, boom, right? Like that. Those kind of things would be huge if you could have that, right? So, and that's assuming that side. Sega just announced a whole bunch of games. If it was Sega, right, they have a whole slew of new games that they're working on from their old IPs, right? Any one of those, just 2 or 3 of those things as your launch line, like that'd be so crazy, right? But again, that pivot not happening would be kind of a problem, right? And I understand Embracer has a lot of studios, but a lot of them are indie. Right, you're not getting those big bangers, and that's kind of the headache outside of like Gearbox and Crystal and Eidos. it is a pain. But it is what it is. I don't know that happens anytime soon. Unfortunately, I just think like from a strategy perspective, you got to go to that pivot to Japan and say, hey, we have an opportunity right now. If Nintendo starts making a whole bunch of sales with a console that can play everything, that idea of the high-end console where PlayStation is 98 and you're 2 suddenly diminishes because Nintendo now is in that same arena. It's an opportunity you just can't pass up, right? If they can do it, this is the time to go get something in Japan because you have a gimme. You have a gimme, right? Because what is somebody going to say? You have 2% market share, right? It's like, come on, you have to give it to them. So this is just an interesting time, and I don't know if Embracer makes sense for them right now, unfortunately. So I would love it. I think Crystal would be great. Get Tomb Raider, get Deus Ex back if you get Eidos Montreal, right?
Yep.
But yeah, unfortunately, I don't really see it. Sorry.
No, I mean, listen, it's a shame because, like I said, I think that there is something to be said about them working on. Now, I know there's contracts signed, and I don't know how big those contracts are. But see, Crazy Little Gaming said he'd be right back. Crispy Bomb, let's bring you in real quick. I mean, look, one of the failures that we saw with Xbox in the Xbox One era day is, like, for instance, you take a look at Rise Son of Rome. Probably still one of my favorite exclusives. The game, even to this day, I mean, it's 10 years old and it looks and plays phenomenal. We never got a sequel. They never got a sequel because they don't own the IP, but the studio that made it, well, they don't own that studio. Crystal Dynamics is, man, Eidos and Crystal, they're legit. Like, just look at their past works. They are absolutely legit good studios. Do you think it's priority one to get them to be a part of Xbox Game Studios?
I mean, you got to realize that there is a point in time where a company looks at what they're already doing and they're already helping these 3 IPs from Xbox. And you go and say, well, how could they technically purchase, these developers that are obviously helping? It's a hard thing to think about. Could they buy Embracer? Absolutely. I'm with Hargy. They could buy them in a second if they really wanted to. I think it's close enough to the threshold that, especially now, I mean, if you look at their stock price and everything else, like, it's not the greatest thing in the world. Just saying.
Yep.
And they've laid off and done things.
A lot of people do, and they've closed studios too.
And that's where it's like, I get, like, the 1900 was not what we wanted to hear. I understand that completely. I really do. And I feel for those people that got laid off. Some of those people were really invested in the IPs from ABK that they signed on for. And it sucks. But at the same time, there is talent that is what I would call the people that actually do the work. And I mean, all these companies, developers from Embracer, are still working on these IPs from Xbox. And you go and say, is it possible that they could buy? Yes, it is. So you look at it and you say, how many people are going to be affected if that doesn't happen? And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people get really focused on, like, oh, are they a monopoly? Are they this? Are they that? At the end of the day, I watched Microsoft bail out Apple back in the day. And look what Apple is. They're right on the coattails.
Yep.
Okay? At the end of the day, we look at what they've done with ABK lately. We're hearing nothing about it. And we're going to probably get a drop right before the showcase or something like that. That's the way I feel. You're going to see a lot of older Call of Duty games. You're going to see a lot of older IP. You might see like Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake drop in there in the Game Pass. And people are going to be undeniable. They're going to be like, dude, like if you're a Call of Duty fan, bam. If you're, old school, I mean, Tony Hawk 1 and 2, if you haven't played it and you've played the old Tony Hawks, you're going to love it. I'm telling you. So, like, you drop these things at the Game Pass and you say, well, it's successful again, even though it's an old IP. How many people went crazy when they revamped the servers?
Yeah,
for the older Call of Duties, they went crazy. People were crying.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, people were crying, dude. Like I've watched multiple videos of people being like, "I can't believe this is happening." You know what I mean? And that's where I go and say, like, gaming is what you make it.
Yep.
Okay. You make gaming what you want. Like I'm a multiplayer gamer. Am I a Call of Duty fan? No. I'm a Gears, I'm an MK. Like MK is old as dirt, but they keep reinventing themselves. And also, I love to go back and play like MKX, freaking, Shaolin monks. Like, dude, like I love playing games when they're in my realm, and that is up to you as an individual. It is not up to us. We are giving you our thoughts. That does not mean that you have to take our thoughts and say, I have to do this. You've already sold me. Like, I'm going to wait because I don't have the time. But Suicide Squad, yeah, sounds up my alley. You brought up Division. You brought up Destiny. Well, it's third person, so it's going to feel more like Division for me. But looter shooters are not the worst thing in the world. And it sounds like they're trying to do it right, even though we've seen the articles that have come out. Let's trash something before. I mean, look at this Silent Hill demo. Like, come on, man. Like, it's a demo.
Yeah. Well,
and
technically, it's a 2-hour game. I mean, again, it's getting threes. It's supposedly horrendous. That's not going to stop me from. It's download. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Is that short message?
I mean? Like
that one, it's a 3. Really? Wow.
Yeah, the games. The first 3 came from GameSpot. Gave it a 3 out of 10. They said it was awful.
I mean, dude, are we like so? Like when I play Gears 4 beta, is that going to be like like if you put out a beta, you put out a preview, now everything's going to be critiqued? I mean, seriously, like you didn't put out the full game, so now people have a
Well, this isn't Silent Hill 2 remake. This is the Silent Hill The Last Letter. It's a different game. It's a first person. It has nothing to do with what Bloober Team did. I know the JB1521 says Bloober Team is trash. They're a small team, man. I don't know. I'm buying it because that's my favorite in the series. I don't like what I saw so far. I have to watch it in 4K and see if it looks better. But the Silent Hill that was given a 3 is let me get to my DM. I don't remember the name. It's The Last Letter. I think that's what it's called. Hold on a sec. Let me find it.
It's a short message, wasn't it?
That's what it is. The short message.
Short
Yes,
message,
thank
yeah.
you, sir. That's what it was. Yeah, it was, and that's a game on its own. It's its own Silent Hill thing. It's free. It's about 2 hours. It's about 2 hours long, and it's getting destroyed in the reviews. I don't know. I haven't played it. I downloaded it yesterday, and the Suicide Squad is just really taking up my time. But I'm gonna play it. I like Silent Hill, and
man, I can't believe you like Suicide Squad.
What's that?
I can't believe you like Suicide.
Oh, dude, it's my favorite. It's one of my I cannot stop
Wow.
playing it. It's all I keep want to play. Oh, that's all I want to play. I really cannot stop playing. It's my. I mean, again, not every game's for every gamer. If you don't like it, I hear you.
I knew it was going to be mixed. There's going to be some people who love it, and then there's going to be a lot of people who like it.
But he liked Avengers too. Like, let's be straight. Like
yeah, I
you know
did.
what I mean?
I
like,
like Avengers.
You know what I mean?
Story was great.
that's-
Some of the other stuff was garbage.
But that's where I go and say, like everybody's like, oh, you have to agree with me. I don't believe that as a human being. Like I believe that you like what you like. Like, dude,
Exactly.
so many people hate Gears so much, and I freaking love it. Okay,
Yeah.
but even like MK, like MK1 is not my jam. I played it. It's not my jam. MK11 is my jam. Okay, I love the way that game plays. But that's where I go and say, like, everybody's like, you know, like, oh, this game and that game, and like, you know, like the state of play, it didn't make me want to buy a PlayStation. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But also, I'm not going to hate on anybody that liked what they saw. And that's where I think we've lost ourselves. Like, come on, dude. Like, you know, if Microsoft goes and buys some of these studios that were under Embracer, but clearly are probably living off of what Microsoft's giving them, is that a worse thing in the world? I don't think so. Will there be layoffs? Probably, but that's part of the business. That's what it is. We've seen it. We've seen it from what? UPS. They laid off what, 10,000 workers?
10,000 people.
Like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
And I saw some people saying, well, that's no big deal. It's nothing to do with gaming. You're a moron if you say that. That's 10,000 people.
Still layoffs.
Those are 10,000 people that don't have a job the next day. Come on, people. You know what I mean? So let's be honest here. We're not acting like, you know, a layoff is good in general. The point is that could there be less, because Embracer's been on a roll with this, could there be less if Microsoft at the least buys the developers that are already working on their projects? Look at people who can fly. Okay, they haven't laid nobody off, and they just said, Square Enix, go F yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, because whatever they're working on with Xbox, whatever they're working on with Xbox has a longevity to it to say, hey, I have a job. It's a no holds bar with being a game creator. It is a no holds bar at this point. So many people want to do it, but some people are better than others, and that's fine. But when I did, like, that hurt me more when I saw, you know, these UPS drivers, whatever, getting thrown to the curb because what? Probably Amazon killed them with bringing their own Amazon Prime trucks. You know, people don't want to acknowledge what is actually happening. You know what I mean? And that's the point. And it's just like, you don't. Do you think Sony's going to buy them? No,
they're not.
Well, they're in bed with Square until, you know, it seems like it's starting to change. But they were in bed with Square, and Square said, nah, you guys are out. We'll sell you to Embracer. So what's the problem with this? Like, you know, they're Western studios. Okay. But Microsoft's right around them. You know what I mean? The headquarters. Think about it. Like, it's one of those things. Like, we have developers all over the place, just like every other entity. But you lay off 1,900. I thought it was going to be 10,000 people. That's what I felt like. I felt like they were going to lay off so many more people. So that's the way I look at that. And on top of that, is it the worst thing in the world if they actually purchase them? And I don't think it is. I really don't.
I think it'd be betterment for everybody involved, honestly. And I hope that they could find the wiggle room to do it. Remember, Hargeet just confirmed it's 100 million before regulatory eyes, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
100 million. Yep.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what they have to spend under 100 million. Are those studios worth more than 100 million? Probably. Can they figure something out?
They bought them for 300, I think, right? Was it 300? I think it was
300 million for everything, though. Everything.
Yeah.
So, we will see. A Crazy Lou Gaming. Let's get your hot take on this, brother. What are your thoughts? Is it in the cards for Microsoft to bring these studios in as first party simply because they're working on first party games?
Is it in their cards to get Idols Montreal? Interesting. I think I'm going to sit there and agree with Hargit on one thing. I mean, we see Embracer Group, what's been going on, and we see all those crazy layoffs that's been happening over there. And if they're going to buy Idols Montreal, I think it's not. Oh, man, that's a hard one. I think I don't even know how to put this through, because dang, to get Idols Montreal, I mean, is it worth for them to buy it, or they should wait a while and focus on to get something else? Because I mean, right now, as Harvey said, they're focusing on Japan, and it's a good move for them to go over there and go and integrate themselves in Japan more than going over here and just get another studio. That's something that I'm agreeing with Harvey right here, because they got to jump into Japan. They got to get into that. They got to get their games over there to get people, to buy their games, buy their consoles, and ship to Microsoft's my God, my brain's not clicking today. Yeah, but to ship, to Xbox, to sit there and play their games, or ship to Game Pass. So yeah, to buy out as much for now, no, I think it's not gonna happen for now. I think if they're gonna do that, it's gonna be way down the line, or probably, if Embracer goes downhill, get Embracer completely. If they can, of course. I mean, the regulators let them get it. That's
it's
the question.
pretty cheap, right? It's like it's $2.5 billion. It's not a lot. I mean, in comparison to the other stuff they're buying, it's a pretty cheap thing. To your point, will they let them buy it? And I guess as it keeps dying, it gets cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah, because that's the thing, though. If they do go get Embracer, how many studios are they gonna get just under their wing?
It's like 100 plus or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
indies. There's a lot of indies.
There's a lot of indies, but would that make them become a monopoly right there? That's the question.
No, because it's still,
it wouldn't. It would not hit the
wouldn't?
threshold with Embracer. It just wouldn't.
No.
If they got like a Take-Two and a Ubisoft, that might move the needle.
It still wouldn't do it. Believe it or not, it still wouldn't do it, because the market is so large. Was it like 350 billion in revenue or something like that?
Yeah,
you have to take the revenue from each area, and it's just not that big. So when you compare all that together, like I was adding up, like, hey, if you bought EA, Ubisoft, Embracer, Square, Sega, and WB, you'd still be under 15% on top of everything they already have.
Wow,
and that's how ridiculous it is, right? And it's like, well, but it requires you to go third party. You can't be a platform at that point.
Yeah, no, of course not. Yeah. Yep.
So if you do third party, then yeah, you could just go buy all that stuff, no problem. But you have to guarantee that you will not have cloud exclusivity and console exclusivity, and this one might hurt, but subscription exclusivity. You would have to put things in PlayStation Plus. You'd have to put things in, Ubisoft Plus, and what they already did. Ubisoft Plus already has all their stuff, right? So, this, as long as they say we're open to whatever, they can go buy all that stuff.
I think
one thing they could do. I was just thinking about this. They could just fund a game, right? They're
exactly.
partnering with them making their games, but they could just fund a game.
Exactly,
and maybe that would shore them up.
Yeah, that could help them out a lot too, because dang, man, it's just been going downhill. Oh my God, I feel bad for them. Such great games.
It's scary. Those are great studios. As a matter of fact, I would even dare say, if they were to acquire those studios, what it would open the door for is more potentially Marvel exclusives, because those two studios know how to make superhero games. So, I mean, anything else you want to add, Crazy Lou Gaming?
I'm good. I'm good.
Dave, let's bring you in, brother. Obviously, you're the money man of the group. You're greedy like me, like Umbra. We want everything. But I think that these purchases, not from a greedy gamer aspect, from just a let make it make sense kind of aspect. Well, it makes sense. They're working on 3 major first party games. These games are going to come out. They're going to be bangers, folks. They're going to be great. They're going to be high-rated games. Now, you never know with the media, but they have the potential to be really tip of the spear. We're going to want sequels to these games. If you don't have the same studios making the sequels, well, then are the sequels going to be as important? That's the question. What are your thoughts, Dave?
So, my thinking is Embracer's in trouble. So we know that. The best way to give them a leg up would be to piecemeal and either buy out those companies, the particular studios that they are working with already, which will give them money to continue, give a large amount, maybe even overpay, because even an overpay would still be beneficial to Microsoft in the long run. but would maybe give that, the rest of the group and the retaining, franchises that they own the ability to continue to go and flourish in the market, or maybe work out some other partnerships, or maybe not necessarily purchase them, because I don't necessarily know that they want to add all those thousands of more employees, and someone have to get laid off, and you know what I'm saying. So it would be, the whole redundancy thing would be bad again. But yeah, I know they're actually closing and laying off some people now. But if they could either work out some kind of continued studio work, like maybe bring in other aspects and studios to work on different projects that they're working on, then maybe that could do it. So Embracer might necessarily be working so much on their own IPs as they are become a company that that supplies development teams to work on Microsoft's and even then that would give them the ability to have some other teams work with Sony or work with other companies that need help. If they already have a group of people together and they want to keep them employed and keep the money coming in, I mean that's a possibility. But I just I think that the Microsoft would be smart to get the teams that they need. They have contracts in place, and we know that. So at least they're should at least honor them through these games. But as far as for the future and stuff, there could be some stuff that's already in the works. Some deals could already be done, and we just don't know about them yet. That happens all the time, especially because if there's no regulatory process that has to go through, then there's nothing that they need to disclose until they feel like they need to disclose it. Maybe when the games come out. Oh, by the way,
we purchased them. That makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. As a matter of fact,
but like I said, unfortunately, we don't have an insight into all that. We just know that from the headlines that a lot of people are losing their jobs. Know what that's like, and that that it's a matter of trying to stay focused on continuing to get the great games and stuff out, which I think Microsoft is doing. I think the working with the teams that they are now proves that they are trying to to get themselves in the best position they can for the future of Xbox and Microsoft. And they're smart people, and whatever they can do within their realm that they're able to, I think that they're going to do. I don't think they're going to leave something on the table just because we may or may not. I think they've got some big plans and some big things in the works. Let's hope so anyway. But like I said, if they can at least get the studios that are most closely tied to what the programs and plans are that they're working with right now, that would be the biggest plus. And by doing those kind of deals, maybe they could give the rest of Embracer Group enough operating capital to continue to move forward and continue to to do what they need to do to stay afloat and to continue as a company as well as an independent group. But like I said, I don't know, but all I know is that right now Microsoft is in a really good position, and I believe that that they are going to come out on top in the end. And we're getting closer. Each year is going to be better and better for Microsoft.
Yep.
And just wait till Call of Duty's in Game Pass. I can hardly wait.
Yeah, you're right. Great points all around. Listen, Fuzzy Belvedere, before I get to the last super chats and we get everyone out of here so you can start your weekend or your Friday, let's get your hot takes on this. Where do you kind of feel these three studios? Because again, I think that most Xbox gamers remember that some of the games that they would like sequels to we couldn't get them because Microsoft did A, own the studio, and B, own the IP. Well, they own the IPs here. These studios, I think, would be a great fit, not just for the current projects they're working on, what future projects that they could work on. Specifically, when you look at DC and Marvel, these are those studios that could deliver a third-person, story-driven narrative game.
Well, the funny thing is, like, based on some of those previous issues that they've had, there is a rumor that they've adjusted their contracts whenever they have these third parties work on their IPs. So their parent companies, if anything should happen where they're either bought out or for sale or something like that, they get almost like a first right of refusal to be able to put a bid in or something to that effect. Now, with Eidos, with the layoffs that they had there, it seems like a lot of it was not the ones working possibly on Fable kind of thing. It's unfortunate that the new Deus Ex or whatever Deus Ex game that they were working on was canceled, but at least it seems, although we don't know everything as far as the internals are concerned, it seems like the team that was working with them for Fable are still intact. So more than likely, Microsoft is going to keep at least those that are working on their projects, gainfully employed and probably, putting some extra money, much like I think even Hargeet mentioned it earlier when they had like an influx of games. I think when they had like that, 10 or 12 games drop, at least 5 of them were from Embracer Group or something like that.
Yes.
Maybe a few more. And that definitely probably matters for the most part when it comes to, their revenue and things. But I guess the moral of the story is never spend money based on a handshake agreement. Always get it in writing.
Yeah.
But I think at some point we will find that either Microsoft has acquired those studios, although I tend to agree. I think it would be a better idea if they just acquired all of Embracer, but the drawback being that the optics of it, we saw how people were with ABK. You can only imagine, even though it's a smaller fiscal company, it would be overall a bigger outcry because of the monopoly argument.
Well, it just would be, it's 7 billion, I think, is what it's worth. 7.5 billion. It's
Mhm.
I mean, I only have 6 billion in the bank, folks. So sorry, I can't understand.
Embracer?
But yeah,
Embracer is 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5 billion.
Yeah, they dropped
Wow.
significantly.
I thought they
It's
were
2.5.
7. So
Yeah, they've fallen off a lot because of all the issues they're running into. So
2.5 billion. That's
chump change, to be honest. Chump
I
change.
actually
Yeah.
think
I actually think money for Microsoft.
Phil walks around with that in his sock.
I was gonna say, Satya's got that in his couch, man. Come on.
I mean, I think they
Check
got
it
that
out.
with just the bank account of ABK, right? Because ABK had cash on hand, right? So
They did.
They did.
They did.
They had over 10 billion cash on hand that was
I
just saying.
acquired by
it would
Microsoft.
be it wouldn't be the price. It would be they're buying another publisher, and look at all these studios, and it's not
Monopoly.
Well, I used to joke it would have been better if ABK, because they did acquire a couple of support studios during the whole acquisition thing. I was like, if ABK was to acquire something like Ubisoft or Embracer, it would have probably went
anything
over better.
is on the table now. Anything, like, realistically, they could buy anything. This was the biggest deal, right? To try to get this through, and they did get it through.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And all the talk of all the people is irrelevant. All those people who were screaming bloody water, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You're right.
Matter. It's what matters.
Does matter.
Right. So ultimately, they got ABK, the biggest publisher. They got him.
No, but at some point, I hope something happens with Embracer to kind of get them back on their feet. And it's one of those things where there's some studios like NWI or New World Interactive, the ones that do Insurgency Sandstorm, they wound up closing them. Now they just did an update for the game, but they're shuttering the studio. And I always joked about, well, not joked, but I always said that would make sense for PlayStation to pick that group up to make a SOCOM game.
Yeah,
that would have been a perfect fit,
dude.
But we see Sony can't even hold on to $10 billion deals for streaming services. So yeah, that's another story. But as far as Embracer is concerned, I think Microsoft is helping them behind closed doors financially to some extent. I'm pretty sure we'll see some more Game Pass drops from Embracer in the service here soon. I mean, a lot of the stuff from Embracer is always wound up at some point in Game Pass, so I can imagine that they'll probably have a few more things going on. But you have to realize Phil is a pretty stout or sharp businessman. Like the back and forth between him and Bobby Kotick on the pricing for the shares is historic. Let's just say, as far as keeping it cut as close to as possible to the bare minimum as he could. And maybe it's just a matter of that contract now kind of holds Embracer where these people still have to be employed because they're working on our project. And well, that $300 million $300 million price that you were talking about before, I don't know. Maybe 200 million sounds better since you already rolled that other studio into Eidos and you laid off some of the employees. So I think 200 million should do it, right? And I could see Phil totally doing that. Not saying he's that much of a cutthroat, but we all know he is sharper behind the closed doors than what we see as far as the public facing aspect. But I think they do wind up picking him up. We've already seen how, I don't know if Greenberg made a slip or if it was something that Oxide is already acquired or
Yeah,
our
that was
studios.
right
Like,
after
It's
the wreck.
independent though, right?
yeah, they're supposed to be independent, but
Okay,
the
okay.
way it was worded made it seem like they're already acquired. And with them being a
No,
private
I get that.
company-
I mean, they're not part of another publisher or anything like that, so they're
Right.
just an
They're
independent,
private.
you know,
They're
indie
private.
studio, right?
Yeah.
So they can
Privately
easily pick them
owned.
up. They're probably worth
Yeah,
like
so-
10 million or something, right? Like,
yeah, they could probably pay that without even having to flick an eye and when
Yeah.
the game releases or announce it at the showcase or something like that. And I think we'll see the same for, you know, Crystal D and Eidos, but hopefully sooner rather than later. And I really hope there are other, like whether it's EA if they want to acquire some of the studios or take them off their hands or something like that. I mean, anybody but Ubisoft, but Ubisoft now has that influx of streaming money from Microsoft that they'll get. But Ubisoft seems to be the worst at acquiring and growing. But outside of that, anybody else should be able to reach into Embracer and be like, hey, we heard you're having some trouble. Here's some cash. Give me these goods and go from there. But you know, hopefully there's not more layoffs, although unfortunately it's inevitable, but hopefully not anytime soon. And hopefully people are able to bounce back pretty quick. But
Yeah, that's
we'll see.
yeah. Well, listen, again, at the end of the day, folks, listen, I don't care what platform you root for. When someone loses a job, this is where we got to be good humans. And you know, you got to look at it, and I don't care. Again, I don't care what rah platform you're pumping up. Someone loses a job, that's serious. And what's going on in Embracer is incredibly concerning. Like I said, I want these studios to be a part of it, not because it's simply just, oh, make the games. I want to play a good game. That's part of it, but you want these people to be employed. And Embracer, unfortunately, is getting clobbered, and it's scary. But ladies and gentlemen, let me catch up on these super chats. We'll get everyone out of here. A big thank you to over 700 people that tuned into today's Breakfast with Boom. A lot of new names. Hopefully, you enjoyed the banter enough to consider subscribing to the channel. Mrs. Boom and I are on the hunt for 15K. We have a lofty goal of 17K by the end of 2024. We just started the second month of the year. I don't know if we're going to get there, but we're certainly going to give it the old college effort. We have here a good friend of the program, Sir X-Men, drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, seriously, I haven't heard Xbox say anything about sharing games. Again, they have not made a public statement. 199 All-Star, welcome to the program, kind sir. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, how many of these pony rumors does Microsoft have to respond to? First, it was MS going third party, then 2027, and now this. Relax and let Phil cook. Great show, Boom. Yeah, we just again, it's just a conversation because it's a relevant conversation. But yeah, I think we actually all have to wait until someone from Microsoft actually does respond. JJ saying 117 drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says Microsoft needs another Eastern partnership, and not only in Japan. Yes, they absolutely do. They absolutely do. I don't know if that is purchasing another studio or developer, or a publisher. I.e. Sega. I'd like that.
well, is there? I mean, he's saying outside of Japan, right? But is there another publisher in Asia?
Maybe
outside of Japan?
In Korea, maybe that we're just not
like Nason. Is that
Nason? Yeah,
Nason, right? Like
that's
the one I can think of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tencent, obviously, but that's never happening. You can just throw that out.
Throw it out the window.
That's not happening.
Tencent is actually just about to buy Dungeons and Dragons IP from Hasbro, which is crazy, but well, there you go. They're selling it. C Money, who's from, of course, the head voice. Him and Doodle do an amazing job over at On Point for Gamers on YouTube, which of course you should be subscribed to. And he's been a channel member for 4 months, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity. He says, shout out to this awesome panel up early to bring us these dope ass takes. Boom, Web Dave, Fuzzy, Lou, Crazy Lou, Hargeet, and Crispy Bomb. One panel, lots of fireworks. Yeah, brother, thank you so much for the kind words. Definitely appreciate that. Sir X-Man drops an additional $5 super chat and says, just found out when to buy Tomb Raider Remaster on Xbox Store, are able to play it on PC with the cloud saves between console and PC. Sony does not do that. No, they do not. And lastly, Sir X-Man drops an additional $2 super chat and says Tomb Raider Remaster also locked at 60 frames 4K. Wow. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I think that's the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. But let's get everyone out of here. Hargeet, we'll start first with you. Obviously, Ace's new show, which was on Thursday evening, very successful, at least in my opinion. Good work from him, as always. He represents the brand that you are consistently representing, and that is Game On Daily, not only with Asa, not only with yourself, but of course, Gaz, the source master himself. Sell the brand of Game On Daily and tell everyone where they can't find you on social media.
Yeah, so find me on Discord and Xbox. Chani is my name there. And yeah, so check out GameOnDaily.com and YouTube.com/GameOnDaily. And Septic Sauce is the channel for Gaz, and I forgot the stupid channel name again for freaking. So Game On Ace has changed to
we said it yesterday, and I forgot it also. So I'm a terrible host.
Like trying to remember what he changed it to, but maybe I'll find it before the show ends and throw it. Gaming Arcadia. Gaming Arcadia.
Yes.
And that's what Ace's channel is, and they have a Thursday afternoonish podcast. I think it starts at like 3 or something, like 3 or 4, something like that, in the afternoon Eastern time, US. And it's on Gaming Arcadia with Gamsley and Deadly Headley and Asa, and it's Xbox focused. So yeah, check that out as well. And then also on Fonz's podcast. As a co-host, Fonz Gaming is a channel,
right?
On Sunday at 6 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. GameStalk Live. Check that out as well. And we'll see you again on the next Primetime Gaming. And we'll see what kind of craziness we get next week.
I'm sure it's going to be just as crazy because the gaming news doesn't seem to stop. So thank you. Yeah, hey, Hargeet, thank you so much for joining us. Super appreciate that. Crazy Lou Gaming, you're not going to be with us on Monday for a couple of weeks because you're going away, brother. So obviously, it's great to have you here to give your hot take, sell your brand, talk about, of course, the Xbox International podcast. Great, obviously, Mr. Plume from the Plume Network was here. Brother, if you're still listening, we got to get you on the show. Sell the brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can check out the Xbox International podcast. Not only, when you guys do it, but you also have a Espanol version where people who are Spanish speaking only can still listen in and get the hot takes. Talk about it, brother. Where can people check that out? And more importantly, follow you on social media.
Oh, Mr. BoomStick, thank you for having me on today, man. It was a lot of fun, even though I've been busy on and off. It's been a crazy morning for me, but hey, thanks again. Panel, you guys are awesome. Like always, and chat, always awesome. You can find the crazy one at Crazy Louis Gaming on Twitter X. On Wednesdays on the Xbox International Podcast YouTube channel with the Big Plume, Sound Blow, and Silent Cypher at 7 p.m. ET. And today on Fridays, sometimes I hang out with these awesome fellows, the Xbox International Podcast en Español at 7 p.m. ET with Elvis, Eternal Shaddai, and ASCAP Gaming. That's where you can find the crazy one.
Well, brother, we appreciate you being here. And obviously, Dreadpool was here. I don't know what happened. I think he got stuck at work late. So, Dreadpool, shout out to you, brother. I think I've seen him in the chat as well. And we'll get him back here, obviously, next week. Web Dave, you got a show coming up on Sunday with a couple of really powerful voices. I'm happen to be one of them, folks. That's right. I'm going to be joining in a very rare weekend podcast because, obviously the weekend is dedicated to Mrs. Boom, as it should be, because I do this 5 days a week. But I did owe Dave and Retri a return visit and, you got another guest there, not just me, Mr. Xbox himself. Talk about it, brother. Sell it.
Yeah. I put the link directly to this Sunday's episode in the chat just now, so people want to go there and want to make sure they bookmark it or put the reminder on so they'll be known when it comes out. It's this Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is going to be a great show because of course we have Mr. Boomstick, and then we of course have the one and only Tim Dog will be there, and so locking down a big panel for that. I'm excited for that. It's gonna be really good. It'll be Tim Dog's second appearance, your second appearance as well too. So
Indeed,
we're looking forward to that.
Yes.
And Retri is he's got the questions and stuff lined up for us, and we have a lot of topics and stuff to get over. We really want to get not just rehash the same old subjects, but we want to get really in depth into Tim Dog's and to Mr. Boomstick's impressions about the gaming and the state of gaming right now for everybody. So it's going to be a great show this Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to it. Last little thing I'll throw out there is if anybody's a big fan of paranormal stuff like I am, because I just like it, Project Fear, right there. Their new episode drops today at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. They're back. It's Project Fear on YouTube, and
Nice.
They are pretty awesome, man. Really cool people. Anyway, that's it. And Hargate, I know you're doing you and Fonz, and man, that show is absolutely on fire, and I love it. I'm kind of jealous because your show's on it ends about halfway through ours. So one of these days, when you still have some wind left in you, I want you to be like, hey, Dave, and jump on our show because, we love having you as a guest. So you're always welcome, just so you know.
Thanks.
No worries.
Yeah, appreciate that. Dave, good stuff as always. Looking forward to Sunday. Cannot wait to chop it up with you, Retri, and of course, a Tim Dog, which I saw during the last time we hung out for a bit at the Forza event down in Manhattan, which was pretty cool because I always get a chance to hang out with Tim. That's always fun. So looking forward to that. Crispy Bomb, sell your brand, brother. Where could people find you on social media? And more importantly, what else you got going on, sir?
I mean, shout out to the chat, man. Great chat today. You guys were respectful. You have a conversation. I'd love it. It's at Crispy Bomb on X. It ain't Twitter no more. Sorry, people. Crispy Bomb 28 on Xbox Live. And I am a Double Barrel Gaming exclusive. So you never know where I'll show up. But I always show up for my brother Boom.
Appreciate that very much, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much as always. It was great. Again, shout out to the chat. Great conversations. And again, a lot of us didn't agree, but you know what? No one got pointed. No one got offended. And everyone had a great conversation. So again, that's what we love about this chat. Is that even though we don't agree, and some people might find some of the topics, not to their tip of the spear liking, at least that you're still here, and we definitely appreciate it. The panel appreciates it. Mrs. Boom and I definitely appreciate the support. Last and no way least, Fuzzy Belvedere, brother, sell your brand because your goal, or at least one of the goals we want to help you with in 2024, is to get your channel at the minimum to 500 subs. So by all means, throw that link in there. Tell people where they can check out the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre, and what else you got going on, as well as where people could reach out to you on social media.
Well, as always, thank you for having me on. It's always awesome being on here with you guys. Always awesome when we have special guests like Hargeet and Crazy Lou, kind of a special guest, although you're usually on the Monday show. But
he's special, all right.
On here. And having Web Dave and Crispy Bomb on here, it was awesome. Always, awesome being on the podcast with you, Boom. And thanks to everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to check us out. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely appreciate the time spent with interacting with us in the chat. And for those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. And you can also find me on the Xbox, or actually on Xbox Ultimate later on tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. And then on Saturday, the Shop Podcast on PTK Blam's channel, and that's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. and then see you right back here for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon, right here on this channel. Hope to see you there.
Appreciate it very much. And of course, folks, once again, thank you so much for the outstanding support financially through channel membership and, of course, through the super chats. We have already 4 big giveaways this year announced. We are going to be adding a 5th one. Mrs. Boom and I are looking for, I don't know what the amount is going to be. It's going to be a nice amount. We're going to be celebrating the summer game shows, and we're going to add a special giveaway. Again, we're trying to look at the finances and see what we can play with, because we're already giving away $3,500 this year. And we want to make sure that, obviously, we'd like to kind of raise the bar a little bit. And I think a 5th giveaway might be able to fill that need. And again, people who are channel members, half of whatever contest we do get picked first. But the way it works is on the back end, where, let's say, for instance, we're giving away 15 copies of Stalker 2, which we are. 7 of the winners are going to be people that are just in the chat, and you don't even have to be subscribed. Now, granted, we'd love for you to be subscribed, but if you put the hashtag in and the picker picks your name live on the air, you win. We're one of the few channels that actually do that. But so thank you so much for all of the support. It does allow for us to do these big financial giveaways. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.